Free2talk TV. I was trying something different there. I don't know if it was very effective or not. Or yeah, everyone just stared at me like I was a maniac. Which I am. We all know that. That's fine.
I'm trying to think of a polite way of saying, yes, you are a maniac.
Yes, I am a maniac. It's fine. Right, welcome to Free2talk TV. We've had a little bit of a hiatus again. And Lawrence has just said the intro was as effective as my comb over. Thank you, Lawrence. It's very true. Yes, it is. So we're back. We had a little hiatus. But yeah, there's some news that's happening. I don't know if anyone's heard about this COVID thing. Has anyone heard about this COVID thing?
Not really.
So yeah, we're going to be discussing the obvious elephant in the room about the new things that are happening from today. But first, let's do some introductions because some people might notice that this isn't Richard below me on the screen. But if you, Lawrence, I mean, you know, just comment and like if you want to join in the conversation. But this is Janine, who is a university student who is on placement with us at Free2talk. So how are you, Janine?
I am doing good today.
Yeah, and if anyone notices, there's a slight accent. Definitely not Kiwi. No. So, Janine, tell us a bit about yourself.
So yes, accent. I am Australian. Been here for 5 years, and for some stupid reason, I actually don't see myself going back anytime soon. So I love it.
Yeah. Yeah, good. So you like cold weather?
I
do. Wow.
Whoa.
Wow.
Don't get me wrong. I love the sunshine, but I actually love the cold. Yeah. I think I'm in the right country.
So I've got to show this. It's not that offensive, I hope, but Australian. She's returned to the scene of the crime. So, so for those that don't know, obviously, you know, Australians were convicts that were put in prison hulks on the Thames from London. But as I've got to say this story, as my old Australian friend said, when we used to take the mickey out of him for being a convict, he basically said, you Poms pay $3,000 to get there. I got there for free. So it's like that was the end of the argument. It's like he wins. So it's fine.
It makes it worse because my parents were English, so they moved over there.
Oh wow! So damn it.
I think they fit right in.
At least because they're English and you're Australian, you're effectively bilingual, aren't you? So speaking two different languages. So what are you doing at university, Janine? And why are you on placement with us?
Well, I do childhood and youth, and I am looking at doing a master's in counselling children and young people. So I'm really keen on mentoring, trying to get along with interacting with young people. So we'll see how we go.
Yeah, it's all right, I suppose. It's all right.
You have your moments. There's some people out there.
Speaking from experience, it's all right. Excellent. Right. So Janine's going to join in our conversation that we have about COVID. Lawrence has asked if we can rename it as Cooties, which I kind of like. There's a new strain of Cooties going around. I kind of like that. But Owen, how are you? What have you been up to?
I've not been too bad. I've been kind of busy over the weekend. I've been working and I've literally just got paid this evening. So I'm happy.
Whoop, whoop. Yeah. So what presents are you getting for me, Charlotte and Janine then?
Exactly.
I'm gonna have to think about that. Actually,
he's never had such a thinking face since I asked him about the Afghan war.
Actually, I do know something I could do for you, James.
Yeah.
Because I had a discussion with someone else from Free2talk about this quite a while ago, and I still kind of want to do it.
Okay, what is it?
I'm not telling you.
Oh, it's not a surprise present.
It's not a surprise if I have to tell you.
Fair enough. But before I interrupt, Lawrence says, fabulous effort, Janine. Good luck on your masters. So there we go. He's very supportive of everything we do. That's why he kind of tunes every week. Right, Charlotte, what have you been up to? Because you just have been ignoring us for weeks, months, isn't it, Owen? She just doesn't like us anymore.
No.
Just been a bit busy, really, with uni and stuff, with my dissertation and all that.
Oh,
You know
that
how
old
it is.
chestnut. What,
Yeah.
your dissertation on who is the deadliest James Bond? Is that what the dissertation's on again?
That's it. Yeah, you've
Yeah,
done it.
that's it. I'm glad I
Yeah,
got
I haven't, to be honest,
Hey, Richard.
Little hello from Richard. There we go. Oh no, Charlotte's frozen. Oh,
Oh no.
oh no, she's frozen.
Am I
There
frozen?
come back.
There we go.
Oh,
she's
it's right.
back,
You've come
she's
back. You've come back.
Come back.
We might have missed what you were going to say there. Carry on.
I don't know what I was going to say. I said something that busy apart from that. Working,
Excellent.
uni, that's it.
Very good at knocking
The difficulties
people
of being a
off course
young
sometimes.
adult.
Conversation
Yes.
points, yeah.
Oh,
Right, yeah. So let's just, I suppose, we should just get into it, really. So we've got these reports of the new strain of COVID, which has been detected in South Africa. I want to point this out. Disclaimer: because lots of people are calling it the South African variant. It's not the South African variant. It didn't originate there. It's too early to tell. It was first detected there, and early reports say that if you are unvaccinated, I think I heard on the news this morning, about 80% of the unvaccinated go to hospital.
with this new variant?
With this new variant, but
Oh,
if you are vaccinated, the reverse is basically true. So like 80 or 90% of you don't have to go to hospital. Is pretty much. So I'm still all up for the vaccines, but. Let's talk a bit more, should we, locally and nationally. So the government have said that we have to wear masks in public transport and in retail spaces as of today. How do we feel about going back a step? So 3 steps forward, 2 steps back. Owen, go for it.
Honestly, we should have just stayed at where we were, to be honest. Just keep the masks going.
Come on, just wear masks forever.
Keep masks on until we find a particular way of solution to this COVID nonsense. It's because
sorry, wait, I need to interrupt. Cooties nonsense.
Cooties.
That's not what I just said.
I think, basically speaking, I think we shouldn't have even said you don't need to wear masks at all for cooties anymore. You just have to keep them on. You just have to keep them on.
Lawrence has started something again. We're going to call it cooties forever, aren't we?
And
now?
I don't care. I'm going with it. I'm going with it. So, I just personally think we shouldn't have I still wear a mask ever since. I've still worn a mask when I go into a shop. I even wear a mask when I walk into the building at work. And I have to wear a mask as mandatory as work uniform, but I wear the blue ones. But when I leave, I wear my normal black mask.
So in that case, at the cinema, then you've been wearing a mask anyway. So
I've been wearing a mask when I'm working, and sometimes
is that just you decided that, or was everyone doing it?
Everyone's doing it. Every staff member is doing it.
Okay.
So we're still doing it, and I think today they're going to probably make it mandatory that if you come into the cinema, you might have to wear a mask. I don't know if that's true or not.
Yeah.
But I would suggest probably a good idea just to be safe.
Yeah.
Because you still want to come and see the best films in the house for a cheaper price than Cineworld. Because we've got Spider-Man coming out in the next few days as well.
Which online ticket sales for Spider-Man has been the fastest selling in the world ever.
Really?
I went for prior training yesterday. Yeah. It was only 10 o'clock in the morning. The website crashed.
Wow.
Oh my goodness.
So I'm definitely going to be working hard on the 15th.
Good.
Okay.
Get back to work.
Yes.
Cool.
Yes.
Yes. Cool. Okay. Right. Well, so before we go to you, Charlotte. So Richard says it freaking sucks. And Lawrence has brought up a decent point. Wouldn't it just be easy for everyone to get double jabbed? I was in London last week. 28 days later came to mind. So, before I go back to that point, Charlotte, how do you feel about going back to wear a mask?
I agree, like to a certain extent, with Owen. That to be honest, most people that I've seen, like at work and on public transport, have been wearing masks anyway. So I don't know how much of a difference it's going to make with just making it compulsory, because I think most people are doing it. But I do feel like we're kind of taking a step back, especially with Christmas. I just hope Christmas isn't cancelled and stuff again, because that would not be good. And I don't think people are going to stick to it this year either, because they're so sick of the regulations and everything.
I mean, that's the difficulty, isn't it? People not being, I suppose, considerate. I mean, I went to a mechanics today because getting windscreen wipers replaced, right?
Yeah.
Everyone was just wearing the mask. You know, and
I feel like most people are.
just do it. It
Yeah.
doesn't really, because you're helping other people, aren't you? I think that's what the
Exactly.
science mostly says. But okay, Janine, what do you think about the mask wearing?
Well, I'm on both two standards because technically I actually don't wear a mask because I have a lanyard. And I totally agree. In some way, it is going backwards. It should have continued on knowing masks should have been connected. There was always going to be a sickness. The sickness hasn't changed, so why have the regulations changed?
Yeah.
Technically. So for me, I think it should have just continued because it has continued anyway. As you all said, they're still wearing masks in workplaces. Why don't society normally just keep going with it as well?
Yeah.
Our uni even put it in a mandatory at uni, thinking about 2-3 weeks ago, even before this comes out with government regulations on masks, they put it in beforehand as well. So it was a big thing. For me, it's a yes or no, but with the regulations and then going backwards and forwards, like I see both because I still have family in Oz. So for them, they go, okay, cut down straight out. It doesn't change for like months to months. And their numbers are totally different to our numbers. So I come across and going, they should never have changed that kind of regulation because they're only trying to go, oh, look, what's better for these people? What's better for these people? Problem is, they're still making creative problems later on.
I mean, that is the difficult. I mean, because like I find it really difficult to try to compare like the UK and Australia, because geographically they're completely different places. And even though we speak the same language, well, you try and speak our language, don't you?
I do.
But you know, obviously, so if everything in Australia is basically on the coast, and yes, you do have those built up areas, but there's still a lot more space because you're not following medieval roads like in the UK where everything's really close together. So it's like, you know, with the comparisons with Sweden and all that kind of stuff, it's just I find it a bit up in the air. But Lawrence has said it's a wonderful government keeping you guessing, which I think it is to a degree.
Yeah.
It's I'm just going to show this, Charlotte. How big is that necklace behind Charlotte?
Oh, it's a wall hanging. I've had it for ages. It's like the cycle of the moon, I think.
Oh, is it?
Oh, yeah, that would be quite cool.
Nice.
The lunar cycle.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I do want to bring up your lanyard a little bit, Janine, without questioning. But do you find, because there's been reports of people in lanyards getting some kind of abuse, or people not wearing a mask? Have you had any of that?
Me personally, no, but it has come up because I was talking. I'm very involved in the uni. I've spoken to a few students. They've come back and saying there are being staff members saying, "Oh no, you're not allowed to use it. You've got to wear a mask still."
Really?
Yeah, and it's come across. Well, I'm sorry, but I can't. And it's like, well, yeah, it's some people believe that masks should still be mandatory, like, or it comes back if you're not visibly. You can't see
impaired.
That you can't wear it. Impaired. Yeah. It's
because it comes down to the idea of visible disabilities again, doesn't it? I mean, because I'm not going to probe, but obviously there was. I remember early doors with the first mask wearing. There was a woman who went on BBC because she was a rape survivor. But one of the things which was a trigger for her was when she was raped, the perpetrator basically had a hand over her mouth and held her down. So for her, it's like PTSD. But she shouldn't have to explain that.
No,
every time
accepted.
Someone asks her. And I know, I mean, Lawrence brought this up ages and ages ago that you could just buy those lanyards from Amazon for like a couple of quid. And, you know, people obviously taking advantage of that, of just wearing a lanyard because they just can't be bothered to wear a mask. But I think that would be the same percentage of people that actually perform benefit fraud. You know,
it's only a tiny
0.0001% in the grand scheme of things.
Exactly.
I do have to admit that in the first round I did wear masks, but because I knew how constant they were going to become, mine is a health risk that I can't always breathe underneath them. So that's why I use them, because I've got respiratory problems already. But so that's why I'm constantly in one now, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to breathe on it. Like I did it because that's what was mandatory at the time, but now and that's the hard thing. People change if it's a constant thing now.
Yeah. I mean, so I've just got to bring this up. So politicians, the name for people who commit fraud are called politicians. Yes, they are. So, I mean, right. So, I mean, Lawrence, we've got some of the same friends on our social media. Some vocal anti-vaxxers, should we say, who just see everything like this as the enemy. Now, do we feel like with these anti-vaxxers, because the government have just announced that anyone over 18 can now get all the COVID jabs and boosters. Do we think there's going to be a massive uptake on those, or do we think the anti-vaxxers are going to shout everyone down? What do we reckon? Owen, go again.
I'm not too sure about boosters. Like, I'll still get a booster. Probably if I get like a text or a letter through the post from NHS saying that I'm eligible for one, then I'll get one. But if I was told like, yeah, just go down now, I'll be like, not right now. I prefer being told by a professional. I'm not going to be listening to you. I would prefer
just some random guy on the street.
Just some random guy
who's bald with glasses going, get your vaccine.
Yeah, well, I prefer getting it asked by like NHS. Yeah,
I mean that's the thing. The NHS app. I mean, I've got the app. It's great. You just look at everything on there. Or still can't book a doctor's appointment, but by the by.
Sorry,
but you just get the message that comes through that goes, oh, you need to do this, you need to do that. Like I had some blood tests the other week, and then they sent through my results via text. Saying your vitamin D levels are a little low, which for those watching that might know, vitamin D is basically produced by sunshine. Everyone in the UK has got low vitamin D levels. Every single person. So, but yeah, so you just follow the indications of the doctors then, Owen, yeah?
Yeah, indicator of doctors, because at least then they can just tell me, listen, you're eligible for it now, so you can go for it. If like I said, if some random guy, hey mate, you can get your vaccine now, go and get it. Like, no.
But if some random guys go, don't get your vaccine, it's got a radio transmitter in it. Yeah?
Yeah, I don't believe that sort of stuff. I don't believe that sort of stuff.
Damn it. And that is how I failed as a youth worker. I haven't managed to convince Owen that he needs to wear a tinfoil hat. Damn it. Charlotte, what's your thoughts on this?
I think most people, I know most of my friends are going to get the booster. I think it's just going to be similar to, maybe not as many people will get the booster as the first jab, because maybe some people think that they've got the first jab and that's all they need. But I think the people getting the boosters will definitely outweigh the anti-vaxxers. Yeah. Just because it's just, if you get it done, it's just another step closer to the regulations being stopped and all that sort of thing. So, yeah.
Cool. Awesome. Right. Okay. And Janine, what's your thoughts?
I was very anti any of the vaccinations or boosters.
Okay.
At the beginning, because even though information comes in and goes, oh, this is good for you, we never actually knew the repercussions it was going to do down the line, because the research wasn't there. And for me, I always had the problem with that. So it did change my mind, knowing that it would be beneficial going into children, young people's workplaces, and if the possibility, or when the possibility of when I go back traveling in for holidays, I'm going to need that vaccine or that vaccination. Yeah. So for me, it was easier. That's probably when it changed my mind, was that side. It was just more of a convenience, maybe not life-saving for me because of my conditions or anything like that. Yeah. It was because of the convenience. It was knowing I was going to have more problems if I didn't have the vaccination.
Yeah.
And to be honest with the boosters, I heard it maybe 2 days before I actually got the NHS letter going, you can have a booster. And I was like, what is this booster? Seriously, I had no information on what was actually inclined with it.
Yeah, I mean, that is some of the difficulty with the booster. Lawrence has made some quotes, which Lawrence, I'm going to show in a sec. But it makes me wonder. So that there's always been available a flu vaccine, like a flu booster jab you can get every year, because there's always new strains of flu. Now, flu in this country, I can't remember the figures exactly, but it does kill thousands and thousands of people a year, just normal flu. Okay. Now, I personally have known a couple of people that have died of COVID, right? And also, my mum was very, very seriously ill in hospital with COVID, right? Now, she'd had 2 vaccinations and she was very ill, but survived. Now, the ones that have died didn't have the vaccinations. So it makes me obviously think, what would have happened to my mum if she didn't have those vaccinations? So I completely understand where you're coming from, Janine, about, which is obviously been put forward, like, where's the research, stuff like that. But there's risk, because when it bring back being anti-vaxxer types. So this is specifically talking about people me and Lawrence know. So that's why he's calling them nutters, because some of the stuff they put up is nuts. So there's a story of a gent who deliberately went around frightening people anti-vaxxing, who has contracted COVID and lost the battle. So there was a 42-year-old health freak guy. I mean, this is obviously an individual case, who was very much an anti-vaxxer, caught COVID and died. Right, so the risk is still there, but I think it will become a regular thing that if you want to get a booster, like you can get a flu booster, which is completely up to you, you can get it. But normal vaccinations that you get with flu, and like the vaccinations that happen when you're like 2, it will just that'll just be part of that. I think.
See, I was never had a problem with the flu boosters. But I don't know about my immune system, but the person that I live with had COVID. Probably alive from it, so he will, and everything. And this was before I got boosters, and I never actually got it.
Yeah. Okay.
Didn't get the vaccines. I was completely turned out to be immune to it.
Yeah, I mean that's the thing about it. It's been completely random for who it attacks. So,
and that's why I was very hesitant about the vaccine, because I was like, well, I didn't get it in the first place, so why should I? But
because I live at home, and when I got it, I live with about 4 other people, and because my mum and my dad, they have to do COVID tests for work like every few days, and no one else got it in my family, just me. So it's just completely random. I think. Yeah. Kind of if you get it or not.
I mean, I had it last Christmas, which was a great present.
What a treat!
It really wasn't a treat. I was quite ill from it myself. Actually. Really quite ill. Yeah, I remember being like, it was like really bad flu. Like you felt, bad flu makes not man flu, proper flu. Okay. Proper flu. It felt as bad as that. So Lawrence has said we should live alone, be antisocial, and order food online.
I agree.
Yeah, that's already there, mate.
Let's never speak to anyone. So yeah, okay. Well, I mean, with what the government has announced with these vaccinations. So Janine, have you had 1 or 2 then of the vaccinations?
2. Yeah, both 2 vaccinations. Yeah.
Owen and Charlotte, you've had 1 so far?
I've had just the 1. Yeah.
I've had 2.
You've had both, Owen. Yeah. Okay.
I've had both.
So I've actually.
I don't know. I've had 2. I don't know what I'm talking about.
Have you had 2? Yeah. So I had my booster a couple of weeks ago, I think, just because I was relevant for it. I was able to get it. So yeah, I think it will come down to like what type of job you do.
Yeah, and kind of like the area you live in as well. Because I remember the doctors that I go to, I got it way before a lot of my friends. So I think it's just the availability. And as soon as I get the text, I'll just go and go down it done, I think. Yeah.
Oh, Richard has asked a good question, which just interrupted a question I was going to ask, but here we go. So he and his friends at college were talking about, do you think a lockdown will happen again?
I really hope not. Not in time for Christmas.
I hope not.
Nothing would surprise me, but I hope not.
Nothing surprises anymore with this government.
No shocks in store.
Well, I personally hope not, because we've had 3 lockdowns already.
And they lasted a while as well.
They did last way too long, and I don't think, on another subject with lockdown stuff, I don't think we'll be the shops and all that will be financially capable to survive a 4th one.
Especially independent shops and things like that. Yeah.
Yeah, so they're I don't think. I think they could be one, but I just don't. I just hope they don't have one. I don't want to stop working.
To me, I think they're locking down the wrong things. Like they're still open on flights. Like I said, I know Australia's, they closed down all internationals unless it was emergencies, and they had the isolations and everything. And it was totally different. They're not taking the proper precautions before they're actually meant to be doing. Like lock down the country, that's great, but you're not actually locking down the proper things.
Yeah.
Like they're just locking down. Yeah.
Yeah, it's
just the wrong
isolation.
things,
It's personal lockdown. It's not country lockdown or international exchanges kind of thing.
Yeah.
It's what suits the economy that keeps it. They don't lock down that, but they lock down things that individuals need. And things like that.
Well, they're not going to lock down anything that will affect rich people, will they?
No.
I mean, Boris Johnson still needs to catch his flight to Fuerteventura, doesn't he?
Of course he does.
Yeah, of course he does. So Lawrence controversially says, "I hope so." I like it. I liked it. People were nice to one another. The air got cleaner. Nature recovered. I mean, that's actually a very good point, isn't it?
I mean, there are advantages of a lockdown, but I just think I just can't. Not for Christmas. I love Christmas. My favourite time of year.
I've been bar humbug. This last
I've
week.
got my Christmas stuff in my room.
Well, it's November, Charlotte.
Oh,
it's November.
James, you're one of them, are you? Are you one of them?
Yeah. Oh, I was about to swear live there. That's how much I feel about it.
James, you swore twice during our Twitch stream last week.
That's all right. It's fine. I was really... Nobody was watching live anyway, apart from a couple of our regulars. That was it, and they didn't really care. I must point out that I swore last week on playing a computer game that involved zombies, and these zombies jumped at me and made me jump. That's basically.
Did you get scared, James?
I did. I remember going, oh, like that. Proper went for it, and then I swore at them. So yeah, okay. Well. So on that note, though, of the lockdown, going back a little bit to the vaccination. So there have been reports of people in certain jobs getting fired for refusing the vaccination. What do we think about that?
I think it's hard because I think the vaccination, you can't, you're putting something in your body. I think it's your personal choice.
Mm-hmm.
But also at the end of the day, in order to travel and stuff, and even to go in nightclubs and things in the future, you're going to have proof that you've had the vaccine. But I find it a bit weird because, some people don't feel comfortable having it.
Yeah.
So I think it's a bit of a tricky situation because I don't think you can make anyone have it. Like you can't make anyone just put something in their body that they don't want or don't feel like they know much about. But in order for things to open up again, in some cases, people will need to have it.
Yeah.
So it's a bit of a tricky one.
So what about people in jobs such as care workers that deal with vulnerable people that if they catch COVID, they might die?
I think that's a bit different. But again, I feel like you can't... I think people that work there should do everything they can to kind of persuade other people to get it. But I don't think at the same time you can make them get it. But I think they should... really consider having it if it's because it's part of their job at the end of the day.
It is classed as discriminatory. It is personal, and technically they're firing on personal choice, and it technically within a contract term comes down to that side for me. When it comes into care homes, it's the same as nurses, NHS, any of those workers, any of the technically key workers, it comes down to their choice. Like for me, if they are coming into contact with it, they've got to have that choice to go, okay, we'll prepare for, or they've got to change the job descriptions on saying, okay, well, if you haven't got it, maybe you can't come in contact with particular more vulnerable people. If they're in the care home, maybe they can do different types of care jobs.
Oh, I see. So you're making that suggestion when there's already a care worker crisis in the UK and there's nobody to actually do these jobs. So
True.
Yeah. I mean, right, okay. So, I mean, Janine, it is an interesting point about personal choice. But what do you do if that personal choice kills someone? So, for example, it's my personal choice to drink and drive.
Well, you're an idiot, but that's fine. Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, but I know it's a bad analogy, but
No.
it's kind of works the same. I mean, if
if I come into it and I've got COVID, go into contact with somebody that catches it and dies.
Mhm.
Okay, for me, I should have already taken all those tests beforehand. And it comes down to what Charlotte said. Well, future-wise, you're going to have that vaccination to be allowed to do a lot of things. But technically, if you've got proof to say you've had a test 2 days before, you're allowed to travel within those restrictions as well.
Yeah.
And that's the same thing as care homes and those jobs, key worker jobs. If they're taking the other precautions, it should have a balance. If the vaccinations or you've got to take the job, it's like a drug testing.
Yeah, I think it's hard as well also because, like you said, you're using the analogy of drink driving. That's kind of against the law.
Yeah.
Whereas this is, nothing to do with the law.
Whereas having a vaccine isn't against the law.
Exactly,
Yeah.
it's down to personal choice. But I mean, who knows what it'll be in the future? But it's a bit difficult. No, I don't know.
Yeah. I mean, so Lawrence has asked, should all public-facing roles have to have the jab? So like lecturers, police, shop staff, so doctors, nurses, firemen. So anything that involves having to have close contact with other people that could be at risk, should they all have the vaccine?
On that,
should we
if
change
you're pregnant?
the law?
Yeah.
There's some of those vaccinations that are getting a bit peachy with the pregnancies. And if you're a lecturer or any of it, you're pregnant, do you really want to take the risk of putting it towards your children or your unborn child?
Well, I mean, yeah, but the argument would be you've already had the vaccination. So when you get pregnant, that should be actually part of it, the way it works is protects you anyway. So it should go onto your child. And lots of stuff talk about pregnant women, because obviously there's a big thing about pregnant women and the vaccination. There's been lots of evidence that's gone so far that actually it's, pregnant women should have the vaccine. It does protect them and their child.
So it protects the child as well. The child won't need another one.
Yeah, I mean, obviously people were holding off on it because the research wasn't there. Because as going back to what Janine said, there wasn't research at the time. So I think at that point in time, it's fine for people to go, I'm not sure I want this.
Especially with an unborn child as well. Yeah.
Sorry, Janine, carry on.
I look back on the 1970s, 60s and 70s, and a lot of these 30, 40-year-olds have got a lot of disabilities because there was actually a drug that went out to help these women with morning sickness.
Yeah, I did about it in science that did it cause something wrong with limbs and things?
It was a physical disability,
So it comes across that now they're actually finding out those research that is coming across now. 30 years later,
Thymidylide, I never can pronounce it.
Yeah, that's why I don't even try.
Yeah,
but it's coming across that way and fine. So for me, what is that actually doing to those unborn child 20 years down the track? And that's why I look twice about it.
But you say, I know this is obviously a contentious point, but you say 20 years down the track, but the thymidylide, they were born with these physical deformity and disability straight away. But obviously the medical science, and should we say big pharma at the time, obviously wouldn't accept that was the cause. But you've got the same thing from Nestle. Nestle killed hundreds of thousands of babies in Africa. No one cares. That's why you shouldn't buy Nestle. But it's all these things that come out after the fact. But if we've got the research here now that we can look at, and you can make that informed decision, that's fine. But
it's not full research because you don't actually know. As it's already discussed, what happens if it comes out that you're actually your son is becoming unsterile because and can't produce children because of the vaccine you already have. We don't actually have that research.
So when should we re-examine this research? What time period?
Anywhere between 10 to plus years, because a lot of children are going to, give or take this 1 year now, a lot of these 10-year-olds are going to still have those body changes in those period of times. Maybe even 5 years, because they're going to change on the beginning of development. Sorry, big on children and young people. Thank God I study it. But all that development's going to change, and they're going to grow on the puberty side, give or take the 13 years age, and then it's going to change, come again at the age of 20. So even if those kids are born now because the vaccination's been out for over 18 months, okay. No.
So how many people are we going to let die? How do we separate this? How do we make that
Very
decision
morbid,
as a big
Dave.
decision? Owen, over to you. So if I tell you right now, there's been worldwide 5.2 million deaths because of coronavirus. Yeah.
Cooties.
Cooties. Sorry.
Yeah.
Lawrence, I'll talk about Nestle in a second. Actually, we'll go on to that bit. So where do we decide? Like, so going back to Janine's thought about the research, well, I think Janine, I think is very, very important. Yeah, but we're deciding this, and we're not scientists, right? Who have done all these tests. So are we determining it by how many tests they've done to check what happens? Are we choosing a timeline? I'm tiring you out. That's fine.
I know, get a nap, Owen.
Yeah. So what do you reckon? What do you think we should do?
I don't have a clue, to be honest, because I think there can never be too much research done about a certain topic, you know. But I think because there hasn't been and like a virus like this, you know,
100 years.
Yeah,
It was Spanish influenza.
Yeah, which is why I think, you know, we've had so many, like, it's been such a long process kind of setting up restrictions and everything, because we haven't had anything like it for such a long time. I think it's so hard to know kind of what the right thing to do and how much research and all that should be done. I mean, obviously, I don't think there should be any deaths if it can be avoided. I just don't know.
It's a difficult question, isn't it?
It is. It's just like a trick question.
Janine, welcome to Free2talk TV, where sometimes I stump people with a really difficult question.
James is kills the brain on this TV show.
I come out of it so confused.
Yeah, but that is the big
good.
difficulty. It's I mean, I want to bring science fiction into this. You know, Star Trek being a Vulcan. You know, the need they always said the needs of the many outweigh the needs of the few. So who is the few in this case? Are we deciding that the few is all those people that have so far died because it doesn't matter, they're old? Or you know, should we say we don't care about these newborn children? It's like what do you do?
I don't know. I think it's hard as well. Sorry, I was going to say I think it's hard because obviously if you look at the news, it's just numbers. But if you know people close to you have died, whether it's a elderly loved one or like a baby or something, you'd look at it completely different.
Yeah. So
I feel like it's not something you can put a number on how many people you'd feel comfortable dying, because if it's personal to you, then it's gonna, one death is equivalent to hundreds. Do you know what I mean? 100 strangers. Because
it's emotive and it's part of you, isn't it? What are you going to say, Janine?
Sorry.
I think it comes down to that personal opinion again. Like, I understand like Charlotte, I would rather not people die. But then you've got to take the proper precautions. And as the government's changing, they're putting the mask on to take those proper precautions, because not everyone wants to be vaccinated. But it comes down to like, the numbers just change. So it comes down to the same as the flu jabs. If you don't take the flu jabs, you get the risk of catching a flu and you can die from that. So what's the difference? I hate to be harsh, but it comes out to what is the difference from it today, as people are still dying massively amount of numbers just from the flu, but we never had to wear masks back in those days.
Very true, yeah.
Well, I mean, the other side is like flu deaths went down because people were washing their hands, but you kind of realise that nobody was washing their hands. It's like, oh my god, I opened that door. So I mean, I think that's the other side. Like, yes, we can look at because of flu deaths actually going down, but it's because it was drilled into people basic health and safety stuff. Like,
Well, that's the same with COVID as well, isn't
washing
it?
your hands. And how much washing your hands prevents transmission of diseases.
Yeah.
Wearing masks is, you protect. It's less about you breathing it in. You're protecting other people. Like when I've had a cold actually, and I've sneezed horribly into my own mask, and everyone around me is like, I'm glad he's got that mask on.
Even when I'm wearing a mask and I still sneeze into my elbow.
Yeah, me too.
It's automatic, isn't it? Though you kind of. Yeah,
Like,
it's automatic for me. I fall off my chair. It's a true story. I once sneezed so hard it was like a whole body thing. I fell off my chair.
Oh my goodness.
should do that on stream one day.
So I have to make myself sneeze.
Full body sneeze, remember?
Yeah,
it's got to be a full body.
So yeah, I've just talked about pregnancy. So there's from 5 days ago. This is what I read. Yeah, COVID vaccinations seem to be safe for pregnancy. The data shows. So there we go. So I know you're raising your eyebrows at that, Janine, but
I think it's hard because obviously I know there's research, but obviously a vaccine hasn't been out for that long, and I think at the end of the day, it's down to the individual whether they feel like it's safe enough, because I think that's the last thing that can be made compulsory for women to be pregnant, I think, because it could not only be affecting one person, but it could be affecting the baby as well.
But why should we trust the research?
That's true. Well, it's done by scientists, but what does that mean?
Why should we trust the research?
Wrong.
I don't trust the research.
Sometimes.
It is wrong. I reckon the research is sent to us by big pharma who want to sell us everything and put microchips in our eyes. I mean, I don't know why I chose my eyes there. That's
that's the weird.
Plus that'll really hurt. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is why I'm not a scientist. So Lawrence is like, hang on, the Nesquik bunny by proxy killed loads of people in Africa. So does anybody know about this? Or is it just
I've never heard of this.
None.
So, right. Lawrence has said tin hat creeping out, James. Yes, it is. It's just kept it down there. I might next week. I might actually make myself a tin hat.
Oh God.
So basically, Nestle. Nestle are quite a bad company anyway. They do all these products, chocolates and stuff, but they want to privatize water. Have you know about that? The privatization of water. So a basic human right. Basically costs money. But what they did in the 80s was they were developing a breast milk substitute, a powdered milk substitute. And going back to the thalidomide, it was a similar situation. But they wanted to test it on people. Where do they test it? I know, Africa, in loads of poor countries where no one really cares. And they did this whole advertising campaign where they convinced African mothers to not breastfeed their children, but to make this breast milk substitute, and ended up killing hundreds of thousands of babies. So that's why you shouldn't buy Nestle. But yeah, that's just my tin hat showing again, really, isn't it?
Something new every day.
But yeah, it's worth reading up about. Like the thalidomide. Owen, if you've not heard about it, let me see if I can remember how to spell it. I'll put a link in. It's quite an interesting. Yeah, 1950s. There we go. It's actually early. I didn't think it was that early.
No,
that's actually really early, isn't it? So that's a link to the Science Museum for anyone that's interested in having a look. It is. I've read about it before. It is quite interesting. Yeah. So Lawrence has also said research Fiji water and what they do to native Fijians over their water. I think they're owned by Nestle. Probably owned by Nestle. So yeah, it's crazy, isn't it? All this stuff that we find out on Free2talk TV as we discuss it. So we've decided generally that if you want the COVID vaccine at this moment in time, personal choice. We shouldn't force anyone to have it. It's difficult whether to judge whether it's a constructive dismissal if you fire someone for refusing to have the vaccine if they work with vulnerable people. But going back to your point, Janine, like a test 2 days before, I think if you work with vulnerable people, you should be doing a test every day, shouldn't you?
No,
Well, realistically, I think you should
Yeah.
be, because you can have contact with anyone throughout the day, even
Yeah.
when you go home. Makes no difference. And it's like test before, you got half an hour before work starts, kind of thing.
And also the test now, you don't even have to stick down your throat. It just goes up your nose. You just go up your nose, done. So,
Is it?
So there's it's really
Yeah,
easy
the
now.
new
So
ones,
then there's none of that horrible retching like a cat with a fur ball. You know,
I've still got some of my old COVID tests that I got from my college still in my room. And
I still use them though. Have you
Because I've just
been
never-
they're not used ones. I was expecting.
No.
you to-
They're not used ones. No, they're not used ones.
Sorry, Richard just come back. Wait, what? Are you saying wait what to him keeping all of his old COVID tests, or the one you can just stick up your nose?
No, I didn't know that they've got. It's just stick up your nose now. I didn't know that.
They're really good. It's just stop your nose. So it takes
Yeah.
half the time.
That makes me sneeze
There's no
so much.
retching.
There you go, James, for Twitch next week.
Oh,
Just-
hello. One of my other mates has come on. Compulsory testing makes more sense than compulsory vaccination. Yeah, I think it does. I think you're right. There's mementos from college days, and then there's weird hoarding. Yes, there is.
I've already got weird hoarding. It's called Lego plastic bricks from Denmark.
Yeah. So okay, so we're kind of down with a personal choice on this, aren't we? I mean, as I said, I've had all of it, but my personal situation is different, and I work with some vulnerable people already, actually. So there we go. Lawrence has just said Lego is not weird. It's
Thank you.
It's a very good thing. So we've got about 15 minutes left. So let's touch on some of the stuff that's been happening in the channel in a very, very quick, and it deserves more. But obviously, 27 people drowned in the British Channel on a dinghy trying to come across from France. Now, I just want to talk about the difference between a migrant and a refugee. Really, does anyone know the difference? We have discussed it before, but I don't know if anyone has got anything they want to say.
I want just to put it out as a guess, as it were. I'm not too sure, but a refugee is someone that has been brought over in a way of rescuing, as it were. A migrant is someone that has travelled illegally across a border into another country. I think is that the difference?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah, but
Okay.
migrants can come across to a different country, like legally as well. And just to interrupt. No, Lawrence, don't say anything because I know kind of stuff you're going to say. Charlotte, do you know the difference? Do you understand the difference?
Not really. I've always struggled with it, to be fair. Because I always get confused between immigrant and migrant.
Immigrants are generally talking about coming in, and then
migrants are going out.
An emigrant is going out.
Immigrant, that's it.
Migrants is like the overall term, usually when extremely racist people talk about these blooming migrants like that. That's how they term it.
I know one particular American.
Yeah. Janine, you're a migrant. Technically, or do you have a dual passport because you have English parents? You have a dual passport. That's
I'm classed as a citizen. Thanks. Yeah.
All right. All right. Well, Kevin, that used to work with us, he would be a migrant because he was actually Dutch. So, and so he was here before Brexit, basically. Yeah, difficult that. A lot of people didn't understand that he was actually a migrant. So I want to talk about those 27 people joining the channel because there's been lots of obviously different things put across. So Lawrence has put like refugees, those who have to walk over 13 countries to escape war and death. Immigrant has a skill that want to work and give back to the nation in return for being let in. So I think that's those two very good definitions. But all those people that drowned being in those dinghies, right? There was a lady from Lebanon. There was a few people trying to get away from persecution in Afghanistan. Now, are they migrants or refugees?
Mm.
I always love the hard questions.
Yeah, you do. Yeah, you do.
Because generally, I mean, just to put it out there, so generally what Lawrence is saying, like with an immigrant there, so the big term is economic immigrant. So they are here because they want to make money. They want to better their lives.
Want to have a better life, yeah.
And they ended up actually paying taxes and putting money into the economy. This is why Brexit was such a weird one, because, you know, all the Europeans over here were paying tax. Unlike a lot of the people that actually lived here. But obviously, when you say refugee, like fleeing war and persecution, this is where people find it muddied. So I mean, I'm originally from down south, right next to the channel. I've got family, friends down there who definitely are on one side of the fence about this and would be saying, you know, don't care. They've died, whatever. So do we think this is a tragedy or not? Really? Are they refugees or are they migrants?
I think either way, they were trying to get away from something and have a better life, whether that was to, you know, give to the British, like the English economy or not. But I think either way, it is a tragedy because, you know, they're just trying to improve their life. They're obviously quite desperate to go across the channel in, you know, something like an unsafe dinghy. So I think, I think a death anyway is pretty tragic, but for 27 people who are trying to just get away from something and have a better life, maybe for themselves or for the family, I think it is tragic. Yeah.
Yeah. I think when it comes down to with refugees, for me, it's kind of saying, well, they're taking a risk, but what's the risk of staying? Because it's a higher risk of actually staying. Like they've got more repercussions on staying around.
Exactly.
Like Lauren said, it's you're invading the war. You're trying to get away from the troubles you're already in. They're taking that risk on going in that unsafe dinghy. It is horrible. It is a tragedy on how many do die on becoming refugees. Not even in our channel, it's pretty much everywhere in the world.
Everywhere, yeah.
Those little dinghies, and it is a horrible aspect. Thinking those people actually have to take that risk.
Like it comes down to it, that they actually consider having to do that.
Yeah, it is. It makes me feel like I've got a better life knowing that I don't have to take that choice, and it makes it really sad that people actually even have to make that choice.
100%.
So I mean, because Lawrence is Janine, just so you don't know, so Lawrence, whereas I'm a loony lefty, he sits a bit more on the right, is the best way of putting it. So we do have discussions about our disagreements, but we get on with it, don't we, Lawrence? It's all fine. So Lawrence has obviously put a few questions up. Why didn't they go to another Islamic country such as Saudi or Malawi? But I want to say, so I've read some facts and figures about this. So the UK, because he's also put, are we just an easy target? Okay, so of the facts and figures of these refugees, so they usually go to countries where they've got family or they speak the language. So a lot of the refugees that are coming here specifically because they've got family or they speak English and they think they can use it to better their lives and better themselves. But of all the European countries, what percentage of refugees do we take in? Guess.
I'm going to say 15%.
I would say 5%.
15%, 5%. What are you saying, Owen?
I'll go in the middle. 10%.
Lawrence has said 0.8%. Wow. Yeah, Lawrence, we're not that mean. So actually, we take in 5%. 5%, which when you think about all the countries, and it's not a big percentage.
No, it's not.
I mean, and yet Lawrence is right. Germany is leading the way. Yeah, they're taking on. But also with I've got to bring it up with Brexit, it's actually become harder. Well,
it's relevant to everything, isn't it?
It is relevant. With Brexit, it's actually made it easier for these refugees to come here because they get across Europe, and I mean, we're not getting on with the French at the moment. Like at all, and they'll just whatever, off you go. I can hear new noise in the background for you, Janine.
Sorry.
And Lawrence has said he lost 480 staff due to Brexit and the lockdown. So, yeah, it's a difficult one. But I think there's lots of these things where people talk about what an economic migrant, and they usually just think they want to come over here and claim benefits, and that's not. It's not what these
exactly
people
true.
are. It's not what these people are. But anyway, we've got 5 minutes left, so we've touched on that briefly. The loss of life is definitely a detriment. Where's your thing, Lawrence? So for fun things, let me get up Lawrence's up first. So we're going to talk about finish off with fun things that are said. So Lawrence was messaging me last week. So there's basically another community radio station in Northampton, and Lawrence is trying to set up his own radio show. How does everyone feel about James coming on a radio show and soon to discuss more topics, which are basically, as Lawrence comes on here as the lone righty. I will basically be on there as the lone lefty.
I think that's a good idea.
I think it'd be fun. I think it'd be
you have
really
some
good.
interesting, not arguments, discussions.
Discussions. They are discussions. I mean, I do take the Lawrence. I do take the mickey out of you, don't you? But I'm sure you take the mickey out of me, going my loony lefty mate.
You're both bowling balls.
And we're both bold. Yeah, we're both bold. It's fine.
I said bowling balls.
Golden balls. Yeah, that's the name of the radio show, Lawrence. Golden balls. Yes.
No, bowling balls. Bowling balls.
Yes. Right, let's sell that to the BBC. Right, anyway. So Owen, what's been your happy thing this week that you want to share?
My happy thing is the fact that last Friday and Sunday I've been filming at Eastfield Park, the little short film that I'm doing.
Oh yes, yeah.
So I've got my last shooting day on Thursday, which I'm goddamn looking forward to. I'm looking forward to it because I'm getting covered in green blood.
Yeah, green blood.
Yeah, green fake blood. So that's fun.
Nice.
Ew, disgusting. I like it. It's cool. What about you, Charlotte?
This weekend I had the last weekend off work before Christmas, so I got to go see my boyfriend who's at university in Portsmouth.
Oh, that's miles away.
It took me about 4.5 hours on the train.
Yeah, I was going to say that is miles away. I mean, he could have at least stolen the ship in harbour and
right?
sailed it up some canals to you, couldn't he?
It's
Met
so
you halfway.
Far away.
Yeah,
ridiculous.
Right. Hey, Charlotte's boyfriend, if you're watching, sort yourself out. Yeah.
Sort yourself out, mate.
Right.
Yeah,
so
that was lovely.
that's what I like to hear. So Richard has brought in new Minecraft update came out today. Owen, update your game.
Actually, to be perfectly honest, before coming on here, I'm literally just right now. I've got Minecraft on.
Oh, you got the update rolling, have you?
This little light glare. That's on my Minecraft screen.
Update.
Oh, dear.
There is an update, and I am going to do it now.
So before we do you, Janine, and me, so Lawrence has said he's on Saturday afternoons doing sport, and Sunday will be more of a topical debate chat show. So I'll see if I can listen this Sunday. And apparently he's having a hair transplant in Feb. Lawrence, I've seen some photos of you with hair. It's not right. I don't like it. I don't like it at all. It's so weird. But I suppose people would say the same for me. So Janine, what's been your happy thing or something you want to share from the week?
Oh, I submitted my first assessment and a presentation yesterday, so one down and more to go for the year, but I'm happy that it's gone.
Yay.
But
Well
I did notice, Lawrence, that is a sad point. No, I'm having troubles finding Tim Tams. He put it on a note earlier.
Oh, yeah, did you see it? Sorry.
Devastating. I'm absolutely devoted. But if I buy it online, it's absolutely too expensive.
Couldn't be more Australian than if you tried. If you want to say something Australian, just add O to the end. You know, it's like, hey, Charlotte, you all right there, O? All right, James. It's like whatever you want to. You say Free2talk TV, eh? You know, that's all you need to do. Madness. Sorry, that was just me having a moment. Right, so here's my mini happy thing. Yes, it is a video. It just may be the question about it. The guy's asked is, will my insurance cover this? So let's check it out. It obviously involves an animal again.
Of course it does. What's that, like a dog or?
That's a dog, yeah.
The dog better not get hurt.
Let's go for a drive.
What? How's it doing that?
It's just...
No, not the cow.
just drives it around because it sits on the accelerator. So that's quite funny. Just made me laugh. But there we go. So that was Free to Talk TV. We've put the world to rights yet again.
Yes, we
I
did.
feel. Thank you for being our guest presenter, Janine. It's been good to have you on. I hope you've enjoyed it. We'll end the broadcast and say goodbye to everybody, but we will still say our own private goodbyes afterwards, just so you know, Janine, because people in the past just log off and don't want to
That's
talk
like
to us
you
anymore.
last time. The stream kept going.
No,
Yeah.
that was a fault of Google. The
That was
Google
so
servers
funny.
went down the other week, and the stream just kept running for like 10 minutes with no one in it.
It's
Just
so
weird.
funny.
It was so fun.
In the
Anyway.
group chat, we were like, "What is going on?"
What's going on? And then I got the text from you, James, saying, "Yep, just end it."
Yeah, it really was awkward. Right. Thanks very much, Lawrence. Yet again, I need to buzz you at the weekend, actually, Lawrence, at some point. So let me know when you're free. But thank you, everyone else that's been watching and joining the conversation. And thank you, Owen, Charlotte, and Janine. So bye, everybody.